Hi, in this video I'm going to take you through my workflow of post-process editing through Lightroom and Photoshop. We're going to use this picture I took here in Geneva, Switzerland with my Nikon DSLR D7-100, and I'm going to show you how I made it into this in Lightroom and then took it into Photoshop and made it into this. To begin, here we are in Lightroom. You can see the photo is pretty boring. First, I start with exposure. Just brighten it up a little bit. You don't have to do it like me, just to your liking. I sometimes use contrast. And then what I generally like to do is I like to bring the highlights all the way down and the shadows all the way up. And this brings out all the elements of the picture. Also, I'd like to point out that when you do shoot with your camera, be sure to shoot in RAW and not JPEG. That way you can bring out more elements of the picture in Lightroom. Now, if you want to hold down Alt while you do this, it will show you how to bring out the whites. See that little bit of red? You want to bring it out just until you see the red, not too much. Just to when you see any little amount of color. And the same with the blacks, you want to bring that down the other way, press Alt, just until you see some black. About right there. I usually like to turn the clarity all the way up when I'm doing landscapes, but it doesn't have to be all the way, just to your liking. I don't see any need for any vibrance or saturation in this picture. In this picture, I'm not going to be using any of these. However, you can change the hue of any of the colors, the saturation of any of the colors, or the luminance, which is making it either darker or brighter of each color. I found it very useful in other pictures that I can go over in other videos later. Usually in landscapes for sharpening, I like to take it all the way up to about 70. Again, you don't have to do it like me. It is also to your liking. If you press Alt and then go up on masking, you can take out some of the grain in the sky. That's definitely where I like to do it, or the water. Because when you bring up luminance, I'd say if you're going to do 70, do about 30 on luminance. And that way it won't be grainy in the parts you masked out here. I usually like to click all three of these because it corrects things that happened with your camera. Also, if you click this one and push auto, it'll straighten out your picture. Next, I like to go and do a vignette. It will bring out the sky and put focus to the middle of your picture. If you go down, it'll be black, and if you go up, the edges will be wider and lighter. I like to go down for this picture. I usually bring the highlights all the way up so it doesn't look too rounded. See how that's bringing out the sky? And down here at the bottom, depending on what kind of camera you have, will give you the options of what kind of options you can go through. So because of the camera I'm using, I have all of these. They will be different depending. I usually like to choose camera landscape, and that makes the picture a lot more beautiful. Right here on the shadows, you can bring them all the way down to make them more green, or all the way up to make them more purple. I'm going to put them just a little bit up. Then I'm going to go back up here to the top, and I want to bring out the sky. There are different tools up here you can use. This is for cropping. This is for red eye removal, or this one's for red eye removal. This one's for spot removal. This is a gradient, which we're going to be using right now. I don't really use this one too much, and this one's an adjustment brush. So right now, the graduated filter. You want to press Shift to keep it straight. Pull it down to about here. And then I'm going to bring the exposure a little down and see how the sky starts to look more stormy than it did. which looks great. Go ahead and close this. Now I'm going to use another graduated filter here at the bottom, so that way I can bring out the water. Don't forget to hold shift. Sometimes I don't remember to do that. And I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit here. Maybe some clarity. Go ahead and close that. Now I'm going to use a spot removal tool. It's a lot better in Photoshop, but I can use it here just to make my editing easier in Photoshop when I get to that, because we're going to take this ugly looking thing out of the picture. So just paint over it with the spot removal tool. As much as you can. We'll fix this in Photoshop. It'll choose an area beside it to copy. My computer runs a little slow. Okay, and press done. Next, we're going to use the adjustment brush. This picture doesn't need it so much, but I'm going to use it just to show you guys how it works. I'm going to paint over these umbrellas with the adjustment brush. And the reason I'm doing this is we're going to change the elements of the color here, just to make these umbrellas stand out a little bit more. So now you can change the temperature, the tint, the exposure, contrast. I'm going to change the contrast a little bit to make them pop. And maybe a little saturation. A tiny bit clarity, just to your taste. Okay. Now press done. All right, now I'm going to export this over into Photoshop. So I'm going to go to File, Export. So instead of doing nothing, I'm going to put Open in Photoshop and click Export. Okay, now we have it opened here in Photoshop, and we're going to do a little bit of post-processing to this photo. First, I want to zoom in and fix this mess right here. I'm going to use the spot healing brush and just blend all this in. Next, I'm going to fix this mess right here. I'm going to use the clone stamp tool because this one's a little more precise. I'm going to press Alt to choose the area. And then I'm just going to go over it. Don't forget to make sure your opacity and your flow are all the way up. And right here as well. Go back to the spot healing brush and blend this a little bit more. Okay, great. Next, what I like to do is I like to go to use actions that I have saved from websites like deviantart.com. And I like to use them just to quick do some kind of filter on my photo. Actions are pretty much just various things that you would do on Photoshop, and you can do them all with one click of a button. First, I always take a screenshot here in history so I don't lose what I've already done here. So I can go back to it if I don't like it. I'm going to go ahead and use the yellow breeze action for this video. See how it's going through all of the various things that I would have had to do individually for this picture quickly. I'm not really happy with all of what it did do, but I can get rid of some of it by clicking out the eyes so they're just not visible. Okay, I like how that looks. I'm gonna go ahead and take a snapshot, and then I can compare it to my first one and see the difference. That looks great. So now I'm going to go ahead and save the picture. And now I'm gonna go ahead and right here in my actions, I have something that I made, and you can make your own actions in Photoshop. And I made one that you can turn your photograph into a size appropriate for the internet with 72 pixels per inch. And then I go here to save for web, click save, and then I usually go _W, so I know that it's for the web. All right, that's how I edit my pictures, and thank you for watching.